Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. Happy Sabbath. I trust everyone is doing well this beautiful Saturday. Um, Today's one of my videos. I call it Story Time. And this little story that I'm about to tell you guys is the honest truth. So help me God. This is something that I experienced, and I hope that me sharing this experience or sharing my story, it will be able to help someone. But this is the honest truth, so help me God. Now, I launched my YouTube channel or my YouTube page. Why did it happen to us? Why not? Why wouldn't it happen to us? It happened to anybody. People betrayed Jesus Christ when he died on the cross. So you and I are no different from experiencing certain things in our lives. But it's how we process it is very important. When those things happen to us, what was the lesson? What did we learn from those things happening to us? So, my main purpose of this channel is basically to ask, why did it happen? Why not? Why did it really happen to us? So I normally start off by an affirmation, and my affirmation today is that I am prosperous, and everybody should recite it, say it over and over with conviction. I am prosperous, I'm abundant, I'm successful, I'm unstoppable, I'm grateful, I'm healthy, I'm thankful, I'm a millionaire, I'm humble, I'm peaceful. All that you want to put in, you can put in there. And I was chosen because we all are here for a purpose. Some of us find it early, some of us didn't find it at all. But we all have a purpose, and we all were chosen. I'm chosen to be the best there is and best there ever will be. And it is written, and I'm ordained to be the best there is and best there ever will be by the Most High God, by the Holy Spirit, by Jehovah Jireh, by God Almighty. However we want to call him, there is one supreme God that rules the entire world, or the entire universe, or our entire existence, our being, because I would always say that we are a spiritual being here on earth to have a human experience. And we will go through things in life. Sometimes we don't know why, sometimes we know why. But we just, the main thing is that once we get an understanding why these things are happening to us, then it becomes easy. We know how to deal with it. If at first we don't understand why these things are happening to us, well, then we ask ourselves those questions over and over, like, why me? Why it's happening to me? It's difficult. I don't want it to happen to me. But once you conceptualize and do deep research, self-retrospect, look what is happening, and you get a cool and good understanding as why it's happening to you, then you will know how to act. So today I have a story to tell you guys, and I want to be quick. I always say that, but then my video would go so long sometimes. And this is a true story, so true. Now, for those who don't know, I am from Guyana, Guyana, and that is in South America. My country, we speak the Queen language, we speak English language, right? We gained our independence in 1966. So for those who know my country, Spanish or French, those languages, if we want to learn them, we have to go to school to learn them. But our standard language basically is English language. We were anointed by the Queen. We gained independence. We were first British Guyana, and then when we gained independence, we become an independence nation. In 1966, we had our own autonomy, okay? And we were able to run our country the way we wanted to. So, for me to say all of that is basically to get to a point. I came to this country a few years ago, and the culture, I had a culture shock. Mind you, I used to come to this country before. I came because I had a visa before coming to this country to live. So I came to this country before because I had a visa. And upon me having the visa, I came to this country. I went to Canada, I passed through Miami, I went to Panama, I had a visa that I could have traveled, including when I worked with the UN. However, me saying all of that is to come down to what I want to say. What was my experience and what is my story time? Now, in my country, when we are stressed, we hear it from our grandmother, mother, father, brother, sister. When we're stressed, sometimes we would use words like, oh my God, I am fed up. I'm totally fed up with what is going on. You would hear people say things like that. You'd even hear people say like, oh no, I just feel like giving up. I am so tired. We use languages like that, right? All the time. Oh, this is too tough. And sometimes it is tough and it is stressful and we are anxious. Before we use the word anxiety, in my country we use, oh, we're tired of this, we're stressed, but we get through it, okay? We just say the words, but we don't mean it in terms of that we will do anything physical to ourselves, but we just say those words. So you find that, like I said, I am a West Indian and I'm from Guyana, South America, and we would say things like that, not really meaning it to say that we're going to hurt ourselves or anything physical like that. No, that's not what we will do. Let me make sure. Okay, so I passed 5 minutes. So what happened is, when I came to this country, in 2016, I was going through a very rough period in my life. And they had ups and downs in my life. For now that I know, for me going through all of that I went through, it had to happen. It's for me to be where I am in life now, and me as a person, not material world, not the material things, but me as a person, mind, body, soul, and spirit intact, focused, grounded. All of that had to happen to me for me to be where I am today, sitting, having a conversation with you. I'm able to do this video and speak to you very eloquently about it. Now, I remember in 2016 I was going through a very, very rough period, and for those who know my story, I walked out of a home that was very hostile when I was living with my husband and his family, and that didn't work. And I never looked back. I never once looked back. But there's so many things that came to me. You know, life has become difficult. It's like some people said, people made your life difficult, which I understand now. Then I didn't get it, but I get it now. I had to pass through that period. However, in 2019, I had gotten a job where I was working in Manhattan. And I was a medical biller and coder for that company. And I remember also that period from 2016 was continuous. You find my life is like a roller coaster. I was going in circles. I would get a job, I would lose it, and certain things would happen, and then I would pick up again, and then the same thing would happen. It was like a roller coaster. It was like a circle my life was going through it, and I couldn't understand like why, what was happening to me, why. And then, you know, find out later down in life that people were doing those things. They were creating those situations for me to not have this and this to happen to me, that to happen, the worst, put blockage, all of that stuff. Like I said, I had to go through. However, I remember in 2019, I was not feeling well, and I was really in a downward spiral. You know, so many things were happening in my life, and, you know, I was really stressed and so on. And I met a friend, and I remember he used to do taxi at that time, and I said to him, you know, I was really going through a rough period. I remember sitting and telling him my entire story, what was happening in my life. And so he understood, because I said, listen, I just wanted a friend. And he came into my life as a friend. However, upon me working at this place that I was working at Manhattan, my boss looked at me one day and she said, you know, something is wrong with you. You have to pull this together. And she was right. And I remember going to the hospital, and I'm speaking to the person who was checking my pressure, and they put these things on me, and she said, but you know, your pressure is okay. What is happening to you? I kid you not, and these are words you have to be very, very careful when you say. I kid you not. And I remember she said, what is happening? Because I'm checking your vitals, you're okay. And I said, you know, I feel a little stressed. I feel, oh my God, life is so rough. Like, sometimes I just feel like, you know, like, This is what we would say in my country. We say things like this in my country. And she said, do you feel like harming yourself? I said, no, I don't feel that. But sometimes it just gets so rough. I feel like the word, and I think my expression and how I said it to her. She said, okay. And she was calm just like this. And then they put me in a bed to check my vital and everything. And within 2 minutes, I noticed the security came and collect my bag. And this happened in 2019. Security came and collect my bag. And then, all of a sudden, they give me a hospital gun. And then, I saw a nurse came to my bed, and she was sitting there. And I was like, she was a very nice nurse, pretty, she was very calm and peaceful. And she introduced her name. I think she said her name was Akuba. She was from Africa. Very nice young lady. And she said, well, I'm assigned to you. I said, assigned to me? She said, yes. I said, why? She said, because they want to look at you, because you sound like you're under a lot of pressure. And I said, it's okay, it's not that bad, it's just that, I'm going through a period. At that time, I didn't understand what was happening. I swear to God, I kid you not. And then she said, what happened when you came in? I said, but I was telling the nurse that, I'm not feeling well, I'm so stressed out, life has been difficult. And she said, my dear, let me tell you, she was younger than I am. She said, in this country, you have to be careful with the words that you use when you go to see a doctor if you're a little stressed. Because the first thing they will assume is that you want to do something to yourself. I said, what? She said, yes. I was shocked. So what they do, she and I sit there, we had conversation for the next hour, 2 hours. And then the doctor came. I remember this Caucasian guy came, very nice guy. And he sat up and I had one-on-one conversation. Well, now that I know what was happening, right? I said, wait a minute, you guys are evaluating me? He said, yes. He said, well, you look like you're under a lot of stress. I said, yes, but, life happens. He said, because of what you said, we probably wanted to evaluate you for a couple of minutes. And I had a one-on-one conversation. We had this good conversation and we talked about it. And I said, you know what? I really have to choose my words. Anyhow, within an hour and a half, I leave the hospital, no medication, nothing. He said, you're good. He said, listen, this is America, life happens. I know you're going through a separation from your marriage and that kind of thing, but just be careful. He said that to me. And I said, you're right, okay. And I remember the same night that friend came over by me and I told him, I said, this is what happened. He was like, oh my God, you don't say those things. I said, but I didn't know. I was just basically talking from a woman to a woman and explaining how I was feeling. But it's not that I want to hurt myself. I didn't want to do anything to myself or anything like that. And he said, well, the words that you say. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, today I've lived. And this is why this particular friend could never ever be a friend in my life again. He could never be called a friend. I told him that story. And I live today because that is what he used as a gauge to damage my life. And he pulled, of course, my husband's family and people who I were not so cool with. And this is the narrative that they used, that something was wrong with me. Nothing was wrong with me. I did not know the words that I use that definitely hold me to who people perceive me to be. Nothing was wrong with me. When the doctor talked to me, he said, you're fine, you're good. Didn't prescribe medication, didn't prescribe none of that. I didn't have to go and I didn't have to check back to the hospital. As a matter of fact, I think I owe the hospital a bill right now. Nothing. Clean records when it comes to that. But that friend used that narrative. I'm telling you, use that narrative to damage my life. Because that is what he used. And he tell people that something is wrong with her. So every time anything happened and, in my life, because what they started to do is create scenarios. Because what happened is that he was using that against me financially. Because if something is wrong with me, maybe she needs a guardian or a censor or whatever. And these are the things that the people, and these are the narrative that people were using to gauge my life. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you, whenever you ever come to the United States of America and you go to the doctor, be careful of your words, because it can come back. And be careful of the people that you choose as friend, because that friend tells so many other people of the words that I use that I didn't know would have harmed me, because those are the words that I use in my country. Those things we say in our country didn't mean nothing. I'm stressed, I'm tired, oh, I'm tired of this, I'm fed with this. You say that, you not to do anything to yourself, but that's what he used to hurt my life. A matter of fact, when I was living, I rent a room, the person that I rented the room with, when we had a discussion, she told me, and that is when I knew that this is what this guy did. Ladies and gentlemen, this is story time, and this is facts. I swear on my life, I had no idea that my words is the words that was used against me so people can gain wealth and gain popularity and use it, when nothing like that is who I am. I'm focused, grounded. Despite what I was going through, I know where I am.